Back here at Chris Broussard. Broussard, I'd love to sit and chat, but we got to run the fast break. Here we go. We're going to start up in Boston, where Jayson Tatum and the Celtics agreed to a 5-year extension worth up to $195 million. I'd like that extension. Big money for the 22-year-old coming off his best season to date. But Broussard, is Tatum good enough to be the centerpiece of a championship-caliber team?
This Supermax deal is undoubtedly warranted despite the constant disrespect Jayson Tatum gets in Nick Wright's tears, all right? Jayson Tatum is one of the best players in the world, period, the end. And no, brace yourselves, you might fall out of your chair. He's only 22 years old. 22 years old. He can score off the bounce. He can finish at the rim. He's a 40% career three-point shooter. He's high character, solid defender, great guy to build around. Now, the question, can he be the best player on a championship team? Let's keep it real. No. There are only 4 guys in the league who have proven they can be that. LeBron, KD, Kawhi Leonard, and Steph. He's obviously not LeBron or KD. He's not as transcendent as Steph. But I do think he can get to a Kawhi Leonard level. And he's got intangibles like playing every night that Kawhi doesn't have. So this is a great move. I think he's will be one of the top 8 players in the league for a long time coming.
Okay, well, right now he's not one of the top 12 players in the league, so he's got to get there first. But listen, of course you give him this deal. Just like, of course, you give Donovan Mitchell this deal, even though you know if either one of these guys is my best player, I can't win the title. The Celtics are stuck. Celtic fans love sending me the video last year when I called last season a disaster. But I was right. Last offseason a disaster. And this offseason was even worse. You lose Gordon Hayward for nothing. I do like them adding Tristan Thompson, but they're stuck. The rest of the East that matters got better. The Sixers got better. The Bucks got better. The Nets obviously got massively better. The Heat, who you couldn't beat last year, at least stayed the same. And the Celtics been going in reverse. They took LeBron to a Game 7 of the conference finals 3 years ago. The next year, they don't get out of round 2. Last year, they're lucky to get out of round 2, have a golden opportunity to make the NBA finals, and they can't beat Miami. And in the last 30 years, we have 2 champions that didn't have a league MVP on their roster. The 04 Pistons, one of Wild's all-time favorites, and the 2018 Raptors. So unless you think Jayson Tatum's going to be a league MVP, the answer is he's a really, really good player that can't be the #1 on a champion. That's fine, but that's not what the Celtics signed up for when they thought they had the greatest haul of draft picks ever. Okay, Broussard, I'll make a 15-year wager with you. I'll take under 0.5 on career MVPs for Jayson Tatum. We can revisit this in 2035. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, CB. This is a trick question. Is Jayson Tatum a good enough player to build a championship caliber team around? So that means you are the focal point. That means you're going to lead the team. And I think the answer is no, because now we're thrusting him into the conversation of being next to LeBron James, Steph Curry, KD, Kawhi Leonard. You can even James Harden, Embiid. No, he's not that type of player. So, yes, is he worth the money? Absolutely. He's 22, huge upside, can do it all. But at the end of the day, he's a really good player. He's a championship player, but he isn't the player. So for that reason, I don't think you built the team around him. He needs other superstars that can help lead the way.
Okay, for the record, everybody needs other superstars. LeBron needs other superstars. The question we should be asking is, can Jayson Tatum be as good as Paul Pierce, who won a Finals MVP? And the answer is yes. Of course he can, and of course you give him this deal. Who was the best player on that team?
Excellent point, Wild.
Garnett?
Kevin Garnett, without any shadow of a doubt.
Kevin Garnett was not better than Paul Pierce that year. He can be Paul Pierce. You surround him with 2 other pieces, just like every team's blueprint to win, and they can win a championship. The idea that there's only 4 guys in the history of the world that can win championships, that's not right. Of course he needs other pieces. The real question is, like, can Jaylen Brown, that's the more interesting, can Jaylen Brown be like a second or third piece? Is Kemba the second piece?
So when is his time?
Time say he's
so when is his
22.
time?
I
Who's
don't
he
know,
gonna
anytime
knock
in the
off?
next
We just
15
named all
years.
these guys.
He's 22 years old.
Giannis,
Look, James
you still
Harden
got Giannis,
hasn't
you got
proven
Luka
he
out
can
there.
lead a team to a championship.
He just
Move on to Philly now. New Sixers GM Daryl Morey dispelled some of the trade rumors that have involved Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Morey said, quote, "We have got to get rid of that noise. We are building around them." So, Broussard, should Sixers fans still believe Embiid and Simmons can coexist?
Yeah, look, and I've been hearing for weeks that this is what Philadelphia is going to do. They are committed to seeing how their two stars work with Doc Rivers. I get it. I think it's a smart move. I've been saying they should do that for a year or so. However, one of the guys I would trade Simmons for would be James Harden. Now, if they want to wait, give it to the trade deadline or even give them a full season, I'm fine with that. I like what they've built around these two. But for James Harden, I'd seriously think about it. But I like what they're doing in Philly. I want to see them under Doc Rivers. I want to see him put Joel Embiid in the post and those three shooters around him plus Ben Simmons. Doc's got to coach this almost like an old school team with Embiid, and I think they can have success.
Apologies to everyone on the show in America. I'm going to be a little off the rest of this segment because I'm still shaken to my core over Wild's unveiling the take that in 2008 Paul Pierce was better than Kevin Garnett. I've never heard that take. I didn't know that take existed in the Wild. I'm still wrapping my brain around.
He won Finals MVP.
On this one.
That's why you don't have a vote.
I mean, listen, Kevin Garnett did finish third in the league MVP that year. But who cares?
I love Kevin Garnett.
But let me answer this. Let me answer this.
Go ahead, Nick.
So I totally agree with Broussard that if you could trade Ben Simmons for James Harden, I think Daryl would do it, and I think the Sixers would be better. If that trade, that specific one trade, does not materialize, I think Daryl and Doc believe they can make the finals with this roster. The on-court, off-court numbers of Simmons and Embiid together with great shooting around them a couple years ago was extraordinary. Daryl, in all his press avails, has mentioned that. So I think they are building a team they think can win right now. But I also think they would move Simmons for Harden. But I think that's the only way they move one of these two guys this year, Brandon.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, when plan A doesn't work out and you can't get James Harden, you're absolutely supposed to say this. Great job by Morey. You got to have those guys believing in you. So for you to stand up and say this, it votes well in the locker room. Yeah, and absolutely these guys can coexist. You take out J.J. Redick a couple years ago, this team hasn't been the same. Now you input Seth Curry and Danny Green. This team, they still have to go through Brooklyn, but this is a really good team. If they can build the chemistry, if leadership can stand up, which you have Doc Rivers now, they could be really good next year.
Okay, I hate when everyone else does this on the show and just backtracks to the previous question, but I have to. There's one Finals MVP award, and Paul Pierce won it. I think Kevin Garnett is great. Paul Pierce won the MVP Finals award. The only curious thing here is if this Harden trade does materialize, does Daryl Morey's sort of backing of this tandem end up biting him a little bit, like we're building around Blake Griffin, next thing you know, Blake Griffin's in Detroit? If the Harden all of a sudden is like, I want out and I definitely want to go to Philly, make it happen, does Daryl really putting a stake in the ground like this is our team? Does that somehow like hurt his, not his credibility, but it's just he's really out there authoritatively saying it? You don't think so, Broussard, at all?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's happened many times before, no. As long as the team will end up being better with James Harden, no.
Yeah.
All right, let's head out west. We're actually going to head out west. The Clippers making a splash, signing NBA champ Serge Ibaka to a 2-year, $19 million deal. Ibaka will help fill the voids left by big men Montrezl Harrell and JaMychal Green. But, Nick, I'd imagine you still don't think Clippers have done enough this offseason to keep pace with the Lakers? I'm asking for a friend.
No. The Clippers have to have, they have to have more left. There has to be another move coming. They lose Montrezl Harrell, who, while had a terrible bubble, was incredibly valuable for them throughout the regular season. I like Serge Ibaka a lot. I think that is an excellent addition. But that is not enough of an upgrade, if it is an upgrade at all, to deal with the serious flaws of this team, and they still don't have a point guard. I understand Kawhi didn't want Harrell there, so the Clippers didn't offer Harrell.